You do not wake up. You are thrown into consciousness as if from a great height, landing with a soul-jarring thud in a body that is not your own. There is no gentle return from slumber, no bleary-eyed blink into a familiar room. There is only the ground, vibrating. It's a low, resonant hum that bypasses your ears and sinks directly into your bones, a monstrous, rhythmic pulse that feels like the heartbeat of the world itself. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. It is the first thing you know. A wave of vertigo, cold and sharp, washes through you. The mind you know, the one filled with deadlines, social media feeds. The memory of a specific coffee cup on a specific desk is screaming, "Where am I? What is this?" It's a silent, internal shriek, utterly disconnected from the physical shell you now inhabit. This body does not panic. It does not jolt upright in confusion. It remains still, lying on a rough woolen blanket spread over packed earth. And it listens. It feels. The air is thick, layered with smells your modern nose struggles to parse. There is the heavy, animal scent of unwashed bodies, the sharp tang of wood smoke, the underlying musk of leather and oiled metal, and a pervasive, gritty dust that coats your tongue. You try to move a hand, to touch your face, and discover the first alien sensation. Your fingers, calloused and thick, brush against something hard and cool covering your torso. It's not fabric. It's a series of overlapping metal plates, small and fish-like, stitched onto a heavy linen tunic. They shift with a faint, dry clink, a sound as alien as the vibrating ground. Scale mail. The term floats up from some forgotten history documentary, now a terrifyingly immediate reality. The body takes a breath, not of its own volition, but from a deep, instinctual command. The lungs are powerful, expanding against the constricting armor. This is not your breath. Your breaths are shallow, civilian, born of anxiety and office air. This breath is deep, measured. The breath of a man whose life depends on the capacity of his own lungs. You are a passenger, a ghost in the machine, and the machine is beginning to stir. The thump-thump of the ground intensifies. It is not one heartbeat. You realize it is thousands, tens of thousands. It is the sound of marching feet, a sound so vast it has become a geological event. Your body, this vessel of sinew and bone, begins to respond without your consent. Your legs swing over the side of the simple cot. The muscles in your thighs and calves are dense, coiled springs of power you have never known. You stand, and the world tilts, not from dizziness, but from the sheer weight you now carry. The scale armor, the thick tunic, the heavy leather boots. You feel anchored, dangerous. Your eyes, which you still think of as your eyes, finally take in the scene. You are in a tent, but it is not a recreational camping tent. It is a functional, military affair of dark, heavy canvas. The ground is bare earth. In one corner lies a coiled whip and a small sack of what looks like dried figs. In the other corner, leaning against the canvas wall, is your reflection source. No, not a reflection. It is the thing itself, a shield. It is not the round, bronze hoplon of the Greeks you've seen in movies. It is a large, rectangular shield, but strangely shaped, almost like a tall, curved rectangle. It's made of wicker, a sturdy, tightly woven construction rimmed with bronze. A spear, nearly 7 feet long with a wicked iron head and a bronze butt spike, rests beside it. The internal scream returns. This is not real. I'm dreaming. I must be dreaming. But the dream does not break. The vibrations through the soles of your heavy boots are undeniable. The chafe of the armor against your neck is a persistent, abrasive fact. This is not a dream. This is a transfer, a horrifying, impossible possession in reverse. You are the spirit, and this body is the flesh. A shadow falls across the tent opening. A man ducks inside. He is built like a bull, with a thick, square-cut black beard and eyes that seem to hold no questions, only commands. He looks at you, and a string of guttural syllables leaves his lips. The language is utterly alien, harsh and percussive. Yet, a part of you, the body, the instinct understands. Anushya Hydarnis inspects the column in an hour. Shake the dust from your soul. Today we remind the world why we are endless. Your throat works, and a voice that is deeper and rougher than your own replies in the same tongue. I am awake. The words feel strange, like stones in your mouth, but they are correct. The man grunts, a sound of approval, and ducks back out into the growing light. Anushya. The word echoes in the space between your modern mind and the warrior's brain. It means companions. But the translation that surfaces in your panicked consciousness is the one the Greeks gave it. The Immortals. The body moves again, methodically. It picks up a water skin and takes a long, cool drink. It grabs a handful of the dried figs and chews them with a slow, grinding motion, the act of fueling a machine. Every motion is economical, practiced, honed by years of repetition. While your mind is a storm of impossible questions, your hands are already checking the straps on the wicker shield, testing the balance of the spear. You are a professional, preparing for a day's work. You step out of the tent, and the scale of your new reality hits you with the force of a physical blow. The sky is a pale, pre-dawn gray, but the land below is a sea of humanity. Tents stretch in every direction, a canvas city that carpets the plains. Smoke from thousands of cook fires drifts lazily upwards, and everywhere. There are soldiers, men with dark beards and flowing trousers like yours, their scale armor glinting dully in the dim light. Men from other nations. Their attire a dizzying array of styles, Scythians in pointed hats with powerful bows, Babylonians with bronze helmets, Egyptians in simple linen kilts. They are all here, a river of men drawn from every corner of the largest empire the world has ever known. And the sound. The thump-thump of the ground was just the vanguard. Now, the air itself is alive. The lowing of oxen, the neighing of thousands of horses, the clatter of weapons being checked, the murmur of 100 different languages, all woven into a single, terrifying tapestry of military power. This is the army of Xerxes, the king of kings. And you are not just in it. You are its elite, its spearhead, an immortal. The feeling that cascades through you is not pride. It is a profound, soul-crushing dread. The feeling of a single drop of water realizing it is part of an unstoppable, uncaring tidal wave. The wave is beginning to move, and it is pointed south. The hour passes in a blur of methodical preparation that is entirely alien to your 21st century habits. Your body cleans its gear with an efficiency that borders on unconscious. A soft leather cloth, oiled just so, is used to wipe down the spearhead. You test the grip, the haft, the sharp bronze butt spike designed for finishing a downed enemy or anchoring the spear in the earth. His hands find a small fray in one of the leather straps of your shield, the spara. Without a thought, You take a small awl and a leather cord from your pack and mend it with tight, precise stitches. This is not a task. It is a liturgy. The man who woke you, whose name your instincts supply as Artibus, stands with two others nearby. They talk in low, confident tones, occasionally laughing. They speak of the Ionians who folded too easily, of the Thracians who put up a brief, foolish fight. Their confidence is absolute, an unshakable faith in their own prowess, in the man who leads them, Hydarneus, and in the divine will of the King of Kings. You stand among them, a silent participant. Your modern mind wants to scream, to ask them if they feel fear, if they ever question the cost of this endless march. But your throat is locked by a discipline more profound than any you've ever known. You are an Anusia. You do not question. You obey. You advance. Then, the horns sound. Not a single trumpet, but a wave of sound from deep, curved horns that echoes across the plain. It is the signal. The great river of men begins to flow. Your unit, your Hazarabam of 1,000 men, falls into formation with a practiced, terrifying precision. You are a block of 10 by 10 by 10, a perfect cube of lethality. In front of you, 9 men. Behind you, 900. To your left and right, an ocean of your brethren. You raise your spara shield, its edge locking with the shields of the men beside you. You lower your spear, its point joining a forest of others. The march begins, and with it, the true sensory immersion. The dominant sense is sound. The thump of 10,000 heavy boots hitting the packed earth in perfect unison. It is a sound that shakes your teeth, a sound you feel in your chest cavity. It is the sound of power. Over this bass note, there is the constant, dry rattle of scale armor, a sound like a million cicadas. There is the creak of leather, the jangle of scabbards, the occasional cough or cleared throat, instantly swallowed by the overwhelming rhythm of the march. There are no conversations. There is only the sound of the machine. Then comes the touch. The sun begins to climb, and the air grows hot. The heavy linen tunic under your armor becomes an abrasive, sweat-soaked cage. The leather strap of the spara bites into your shoulder, a constant, nagging pain your body has long since learned to ignore. Dust, kicked up by the thousands of feet ahead, coats everything. It works its way into your mouth, a gritty paste on your tongue. It gets in your eyes, but you do not rub them. You blink, and you march. Your world narrows to the back of the man in front of you, a broad, powerful back covered in the same bronze scales as your own. He is your world. Your duty is to follow him, to protect him, and to step into his place the second he falls. Days bleed into one another, marked only by the rising and setting of the sun. The landscape changes from dusty plains to rolling hills, covered in sparse, silver-green olive groves. You march through deserted villages, the inhabitants having fled before the might of the Achaemenid advance. Sometimes you see them, watching from the hills, their faces a mixture of terror and hatred. Your comrades pay them no mind. They are obstacles that have removed themselves. Nothing more. One afternoon, you are part of a foraging party sent to a larger village that was not abandoned quickly enough. This is the small victory Artibus had joked about. It is not a battle. It is a massacre. A handful of local men, armed with farm implements and ancient hunting spears, try to make a stand in the village square. They are desperate, their faces contorted with a doomed courage. Your unit does not even break formation. You advance as one, A wall of wicker and iron. The villagers shout their war cries. You are silent. Your front rank lowers their spears. There are brief, pathetic screams. The resistance evaporates. Your modern mind recoils in horror. You just watched men die for defending their homes. They were fathers, sons, husbands. But the body you inhabit feels nothing. It steps over a corpse with the indifference of stepping over a fallen log. Your task was to secure the village. The task is complete. Your comrades laugh and begin to round up chickens and search for wine jars. You stand guard, your face an impassive mask. But inside, your 21st century soul is screaming, weeping, drowning in the cognitive dissonance. This is glory. This is empire. It feels like butchery. It feels like a crime. As you march away from the smoldering village, a piece of your modern self hardens. A callus forms over your conscience. It is a survival mechanism. To feel what you should feel would be to go mad. To survive, you must become what this body already is, a tool, a weapon, a single, unthinking scale on the great serpent of the Persia. Weeks later, the terrain changes again. The air grows thick with the salt of the sea. The ground becomes more mountainous, forcing the vast column of the army to narrow. The mood, for the first time, shifts. The easy confidence is still there, but it is now laced with a professional focus. The scouts have been reporting of a Greek force ahead, blocking a narrow pass. The name is whispered down the line, passed from man to man like a strange new coin. Thermopylae, the hot gates. Finally, you see it. Your column halts on a rise overlooking a narrow stretch of land, squeezed between a sheer cliff face and the churning sea. And there, blocking the pass, is nothing. A low stone wall, barely chest-high, crudely assembled. Behind it, you can just make out the glint of bronze and flashes of crimson cloaks. You squint. How many are there? A few thousand. It seems impossible. Surely this is just an advance guard. Artaba stands beside you, and for the first time, you see a flicker of something other than arrogance in his eyes. It's not fear. It's bewilderment. He lets out a short, incredulous laugh. "This is it," he says, his voice full of contemptuous disbelief. "This is the great defense of the Hellenes. The king will be insulted. He has marched an empire across the world to be met by this flock of goats." An order comes down the line, relayed by commanders on horseback. The Medes and Scythians will go first. They will clear this minor obstruction. Your unit, the Immortals, will be held in reserve, an honor guard for a battle that will be over by midday. You are told to rest. A feeling of anticlimax settles over you. This is the great confrontation you have been marching towards for months. This pathetic display. A deep, unsettling quiet hangs in the salt-heavy air, a quiet that feels more ominous than any war cry. You look at the tiny wall, the handful of crimson-cloaked figures, and your modern mind, with its knowledge of history books and legends, feels a cold dread that your comrades, in their supreme confidence, cannot possibly comprehend. You are not looking at a flock of goats. You are looking at your grave. You do not have to wait long. The battle, if it can be called that, begins with an overwhelming display of Persian might. The archers are brought forward, tens of thousands of them, on command. They raise their bows, and for a moment, the sun is blotted out. The sky darkens as a storm of arrows arcs towards the Greek position. It is a terrifying sight, a demonstration of power meant to break the spirit before the first man even charges. The arrows fall like black rain upon the pass. From your vantage point, You expect to see chaos, men screaming and falling. Instead, you see something impossible. The Greeks disappear. One moment, there are flashes of bronze and crimson. The next, there is only the stone wall. The arrows clatter and splinter against the rock and vanish behind it. A low, rumbling sound reaches you, the sound of thousands of arrows striking not flesh, but a solid, unyielding surface. A wall of shields. A moment of stunned silence hangs over the Persian command. Then the horns blow again, this time with a furious, angry edge. The first wave advances the Medes, proud warriors in their own right. They charge down the slope with confident shouts, a torrent of men meant to sweep the little wall away through sheer numbers. They hit the pass, and the world dissolves into chaos. Your modern mind, conditioned by wide-angle movie battles, is unprepared for the reality. The pass is a bottleneck, a meat grinder. It nullifies your greatest advantage numbers. The Medes are funneled into a narrow front, perhaps only 50 men wide, and there they meet the wall. It is not a wall of stone, it is a wall of men, a solid, interlocking barrier of massive, round bronze shields aspides. From behind this wall, a hedge of spears, longer than your own, darts out with lethal precision. It is not a chaotic brawl, it is a machine for killing. The median charge, so full of fire and fury, breaks against it like water against a cliff. Men at the front are impaled and fall, their bodies creating a gruesome rampart for those behind. They cannot advance, they cannot retreat, pushed forward by the thousands behind them. It is a slaughter. You watch, your stomach churning. The confidence of your comrades begins to curdle into a tense, angry silence. The Medes are thrown back, leaving hundreds of their dead piled before the wall. They retreat in disarray, a mix of shame and horror on their faces. Xerxes is furious. The command comes for the next wave. More warriors, fresh and eager to avenge the shame. They charge. The result is the same. The bronze wall holds. The spear points dart and kill. The pass becomes a charnel house. By the afternoon of the first day, the mood has turned grim. The sun beats down on a scene of carnage. The king, in his rage, decides to send in his best. He sends you, the Immortals. The order comes. Anushia, advance. The 1,000-man block moves as one. The easy arrogance of the morning is gone, replaced by a cold, deadly seriousness. You know this will not be like the village. These are not farmers. As you march down into the pass, the scale of the failure of the previous waves becomes sickeningly clear. The ground is slick with blood. The bodies of your fallen countrymen are piled 3 and 4 deep. The air is thick with the coppery stench of it, a smell so overpowering it makes you gag. It is the dominant smell of this new world. Smell and sight. You step over the dead, your boots sinking into gore. The wall of bronze is before you now, close enough to see the dents and scratches, close enough to see the eyes of the men peering over the rims. They are not the eyes of terrified men. They are calm, resolute, filled with a hateful fire. They are Spartans. Your unit charges. The front rank of Immortals slams into the front rank of Spartans, and for the first time, you experience the horror of the grinder up close. There is no room for tactics, no room for skill. There is only the crush of bodies. You are 10 ranks deep, but only the first rank can fight. Your spear is useless, too long for this claustrophobic hell. You drop it and draw your short sword, the Asinaces. The man in front of you, a broad-shouldered warrior named Bagadatta, screams as a Spartan spear finds a gap under his arm. He goes down, instinct, not thought, moves you. You step forward, into his place, your wicker spara held high. A Spartan, his face a mask of sweat and fury under his transverse crested helmet, lunges at you over the top of his shield, his eyes lock with yours. In that moment, the dual lens of your consciousness fractures. Your modern mind is screaming, a pure, high-pitched wail of absolute terror. This is it. I am going to die. Here. Now. But your body, this hardened shell of a Persian warrior, reacts. It does not feel the terror. It feels the tactical imperative. It shoves your spara forward, catching the Spartan spear point. With your other hand, you stab your short sword towards the man's unprotected throat. You miss. His shield, a solid mass of bronze and wood, knocks your blade aside with contemptuous ease. His strength is unbelievable. He is not just a soldier. He is a creature bred for this single moment, this single purpose. Your wicker shield, so effective against arrows, feels like paper against his brute force. He shoves, and you stumble back, your feet slipping on the bloody ground. The man beside you, Artabus, grunts and stabs, forcing the Spartan to pull back. The line holds, for now. But you are not winning. You are not even surviving. You are being fed into a machine that is chewing you up and spitting you out. The battle devolves into a series of desperate, grunting exertions, a shove, a stab, a parry, the clang of metal on metal, the wet thud of a blade hitting flesh, the screams of the wounded. Your world shrinks to the few feet of bloody ground in front of you. Hours pass. Or perhaps it is minutes. Time has no meaning here. Your arms burn with a fire you have never known. Your body is drenched in sweat and splattered with blood, some of it your own from a shallow cut on your arm. You see men you have known for years fall with sickening finality. You step over their bodies. You keep fighting. You have become an automaton, your modern consciousness reduced to a tiny, terrified spectator watching a horror film from inside the protagonist's head. Finally, the horns of recall sound, a mournful, defeated wail. Your unit, the pride of the empire, pulls back. You stumble away from the bronze wall, leaving your dead where they fell. You have failed. The Immortals have been broken. You collapse with the rest of your company, your chest heaving, your muscles screaming in protest. You look at the survivors around you. Their faces are masks of shock and exhaustion. The unshakable confidence is gone, shattered. In its place is a grim, hollowed-out understanding. Artabus slumps beside you, his arm bleeding freely from a deep gash. He doesn't even seem to notice. He just stares at the pass, at the bronze wall that still stands, silent and victorious. Days 2 and 3 are a waking nightmare, a rinse-and-repeat cycle of futility. Other units are sent in, phalanxes of your own, armed in the Greek style. They too are repulsed. The pile of Persian dead grows higher. The pass is choked with it. Morale plummets. The camp is quiet, a place of hushed, fearful whispers. The king is said to be incandescent with rage, unable to comprehend this failure. Your modern mind knows the feeling. It is the frustration of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. On the evening of the third day of slaughter, as despair settles over the camp like a physical shroud, a rumor spreads. A scout, a local man from Trachis, has been brought before the king. A man named Ephialtes. He knows the mountains. He knows a secret, a path, Anopeia, a path that goes up over the mountain and comes down behind the Greek position. The news ripples through your exhausted unit. A flanking maneuver, a way around the meat grinder. A wave of profound relief washes through you, so powerful it almost brings you to your knees. The nightmare could be over. But as you look at the grim faces of your fellow immortals, you see the relief is tainted. It is mixed with something else. A deep, corrosive shame. You are the Anusia. You do not sneak. You do not use tricks. You are the hammer of the empire, meant to smash whatever stands in your way. To use a secret path feels dishonorable. A victory won this way would be hollow. The order comes down the line, passed in hushed, urgent tones. Hydarnes himself will lead the flanking force, and he has chosen his personal guard. He has chosen you, the Immortals. You are to prepare to march at dusk. Your body rises, its exhaustion momentarily forgotten, and begins to check your gear once more. But your mind, the terrified ghost from another time, is trapped in a new conflict. The path to survival is also the path of shame, and as you prepare to march into the darkness, you do not know which is worse, to die with honor in the pass, or to live with the knowledge that you only won because you were afraid to face the enemy at his strongest point. The cliffhanger is no longer about survival, but about what will be left of your soul when the sun rises again. Dusk bleeds into a deep, moonless night. The camp is deliberately noisy in the areas facing the pass, a charade of preparation for yet another frontal assault. But in the rear, where your detachment gathers, an eerie silence reigns. There are no trumpets, no shouted commands, only the softest whispers and the muffled clink of gear being adjusted. You stand in formation, a shadowy column of 10,000 men, waiting. Hydarnes, a silhouette on horseback, addresses you in a voice that is barely more than a breath of wind, yet every man hears it. Tonight, we are not soldiers. We are ghosts. We will climb the mountain's spine and fall upon them like a rock slide. No sound, no mercy. For the honor of the king. The word honor feels like ash in your mouth. You grip your spear, your knuckles white. The march begins. You leave the stench of the camp behind and enter the cool, pine-scented air of the mountain. The path, Anopeia, is little more than a goat track, a treacherous ribbon of loose rock and scree that winds ever upward into the darkness. This is a new kind of hell. It is not the frenetic, explosive horror of the pass. It is a slow, grinding test of endurance and nerve. Every step is a risk. A dislodged stone could clatter down the mountainside, betraying your position to the entire Greek force. You place your feet with a care you didn't know you possessed, your body automatically testing each foothold before committing your weight. Your powerful leg muscles, built for marching on plains, burn with the unfamiliar strain of the steep climb. The sensory world shifts again. Sight is almost useless. You see only the shadowy back of the man in front of you, a darker patch against the star-dusted charcoal of the night. Sound becomes your enemy and your guide. You listen to the soft scuff of the boots ahead, trying to mimic their rhythm. You listen for the snap of a twig, the cry of a nightbird, any sound that might mean you've been discovered. Your own breathing is a roaring furnace in your ears, and you consciously slow it, taking shallow sips of air. Hours crawl by. The climb is relentless. Your body, already pushed to its limits by days of fighting, begins to scream in protest. A deep, resonant ache settles into your bones. This is kinesthetic hell, the feeling of utter, absolute exhaustion. The weight of your armor, once a comfort, is now a leaden shroud trying to drag you back down the mountain. Sweat streams into your eyes, stinging, but you dare not wipe it away. You just blink and climb. At the highest point of the pass, the wind is a knife. It whips through the sparse trees, carrying with it a chilling moan. Here, Hydarnes halts the column. A whisper comes down the line, the Phocians, a small contingent of Greeks tasked with guarding this very path. They are camped just ahead, their sentries lax, confident that no one would be mad enough to attempt this climb at night. Your unit deploys with silent, predatory grace. You are the Immortals. This is what you were trained for before you were trained for the shield wall. Infiltration. Swift, silent killing. You creep forward through the trees, your short sword now in your hand. You see them then, a small campfire, figures wrapped in cloaks, sleeping. A lone sentry leans on his spear, his head nodding. There is no war cry. There is no challenge. There is only a sudden, coordinated rush. You are on the sentry before he can even cry out. A hand claps over his mouth. A blade slides across his throat. The sound is a wet, gurgling sigh. The rest of the camp is dispatched with the same brutal efficiency. It is over in less than a minute. A flurry of desperate, muffled struggles, and then silence. You stand over the body of a man you have just killed, his blood pooling on the dark earth. Your modern mind, which should be recoiling, is numb. The adrenaline of the climb, the sheer physical exhaustion, has muted it. There is only the cold, grim satisfaction of a task completed. You have become terrifyingly good at this. The descent is faster, more reckless. Dawn is approaching, and you are racing the sun. As you come down the eastern slope, you can hear it. The sounds of battle, already raging in the main pass. Leonidas and his Spartans, unaware of the doom descending upon their backs. You emerge from the tree line behind them. The sight is one you will carry for the rest of your unnatural life. You see the back of the Spartan line, a wall of muscle and bronze, still holding firm against the fresh waves of Persians your main army is throwing at them. They are completely encircled. A Spartan turns, his eyes widening in disbelief, then hardening into fatalistic resolve. He shouts a warning to the others. A ripple of motion goes through their line as they realize the trap has sprung. There is no panic. There is no surrender. They simply adjust their formation, a small, doomed island in a sea of enemies. The horns of your detachment finally sound, a triumphant, cruel blast that signals the end. You charge. This is not a battle. It is an execution, surrounded, hopelessly outnumbered. The Spartans fight with the fury of cornered lions. They sell their lives dearly. A man near you is decapitated by a single, desperate sword stroke. Another goes down, a spear through his chest. But the end is inevitable. You find yourself facing a Spartan, his crimson cloak torn, his helmet gone, his face a bloody mask. He is exhausted, wounded, but his eyes burn with a fire that seems to mock your victory. He lunges, you parry, your movements now fluid, instinctual. You are no longer a terrified passenger. You are the warrior. You see an opening and you take it. Your sword finds his side, and he grunts, stumbling. He falls to his knees, looks up at you, and spits a mouthful of blood and defiance onto your boots before collapsing. You stand there, chest heaving, sword dripping, and look around. The battle is over. The last of the Thespians and Spartans lie dead. The pass is silent, save for the groans of the Persian wounded and the triumphant shouts of your comrades. Victory. But it feels like nothing. You look at the piles of bodies, yours and theirs. You look at the pass, a monument to carnage. You feel no pride, no glory, only a vast, hollow emptiness. This is the great victory that will be sung of for generations, a trick, a slaughter of a few hundred men who refused to run. Then you see it. The aha moment that redefines your existence. A group of your fellow immortals are gathering your own dead, but they are not just preparing them for burial. Other men, fresh, unbloodied, are being brought forward from the rear ranks. For every immortal who fell, another man, fully armed and armored in the exact same way, steps forward to take his place in the Hazarabam. A dead man is carried away, and a living one fills the gap in the formation. The unit's strength is restored, instantly, seamlessly, and you understand. Anushya, immortal. It was never about you. You are not immortal. You are replaceable, infinitely. The unit is immortal because its number, 10,000, never changes. You are a cog, a single, identical part in a machine. If you break, you are discarded, and a new cog is fitted into place. Your life, your death, your terror, your brief moment of battlefield prowess, it means nothing to the machine. The machine is all that matters. This is the immortal's burden, not the weight of the armor or the length of the march. It is the soul-crushing knowledge of your own utter insignificance. The glory belongs to the king. The victory belongs to the empire. The honor belongs to the unit. To you belongs only the duty to fight, to die, and to be instantly, silently replaced. The king of kings, Xerxes, rides through the pass, surveying the scene. Your unit stands at attention, a perfect formation of 10,000 men, as if no one had died at all. He looks at the Spartan dead with a mixture of fury and grudging respect. He looks at you, his perfect, undying guard. He nods, satisfied. The order is given to march. The road to Athens is open. As you shoulder your spara and pick up your spear, your body feels the familiar weight, but your soul has been scoured clean. The last vestiges of your 21st century self have burned away in the horror, leaving behind this terrible, cold clarity. You turn your back on the hot gates and march south. You have survived. You are an immortal. And your curse is that you must continue to be. The war is not over. It has just begun.